I feel poop today, man. I'm excited for this episode, but at the same time, I'm just kind of a little tired, man. It's been a long couple weeks. Um, but we here. We just might get fired. Season 2 episode. This is episode number 8. Dang, we in there. We almost done with season 2. Okay. So the topic tonight that I wanted us to discuss is discipline. It's something that a lot of teachers discuss. A lot of teachers are afraid to discuss as well. Parents are kind of on the fence about it. And I feel like it's a good time to talk about it because it's not under pressure right now due to COVID, with us finishing the school year teaching from home. And so my main questions are, discipline in the classroom, but my main questions that I want us to discuss. Do we need to return to the paddle? And do we need to have parents sign some sort of waiver, you know, to give teachers whatever power they may need to get their kids to behave? So before we get started, got my man Mr. Shaw on here. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Do not tell what campus you are at. Just give us a little bit about yourself.
All right, what's up, y'all? Let me see. I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Southern University, got my bachelor's in English with a minor in secondary education. I have 2 masters in education from LSU, one in curriculum and instruction, and then the other one is in education leadership. I am currently working on my doctorate in education leadership and practices. I moved to Dallas. I've been here for 4 years, and this is my 4th year of teaching reading language arts.
I don't know if it was me, but golly. Okay. That's a young black educator right there. That's a nice shirt he got on, by the way. Shout out to the frat. 2 mouths.
Yes, sir.
Yo to them dudes. Man, where do we begin? Mr. McMillan, you got us on this one. You can pop this one off. Talk about discipline. And I know you going to go in. So, do we need to return to the paddle? And do we need to get parents to sign some sort of waivers so that we can get these kids to do what we need them to do?
I ain't gonna go too hard, but yes, I don't think the paddle should never went anywhere, man. I feel like when I was in school, we was getting paddled, and I came out fine. You got paddle, Coy. I think you came out fine too. I don't think it was nothing wrong with it. I don't think that every teacher should be able to paddle because we don't want the anger to be taken out on the kids. You don't want that to happen. But I think how it was done back in the day, you had to give consent if you can get paddled or not. It was what it was. If you didn't, then there was some type of alternative to that. If you get sent home or whatever happens, and that's how I feel like it should be. The people I think should be able to paddle kids is the same ones as back in the day. The principals, the assistant principal, and the coaches. All right, it shouldn't be the teachers. Should parents have to sign waivers? I don't think parents should have to sign waivers. I don't think it's that serious. But yeah, because there is for some campuses, for some people, there is no consequences to these kids' behavior, and that's the way they act, the way they act. And if you have consequences in your classroom, you should. I think it's just an extra added consequence that something can physically happen to you if you get out of line. I think that's needed.
All right, see, now in absence of Brown, and I know he would probably be on this episode by himself, going in. But I don't know. You say not all teachers. You said just have administration and coaches be able to do it. That's an interesting point because I figure you get to the point where you'll have what if that kid doesn't play a sport? So how much would that coach impact that kid in that situation? And so you say, okay, well then you got the assistant principal that could get them. To me, that just it takes away from the power of the teacher. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just like as a kid, you do something wrong, your mama say, "I'm gonna tell your daddy," and so you knew with your mama you could kind of push the envelope a little further. You can with your dad, But I mean, overall, I do think we need to get some sort of parental waiver, right? And if you say, "Nah, I don't want this to happen," then that means when it's time to discipline your child, we need you to be present to come get your child or something of the sort. That way, parents would then just say, "You know what? Do whatever you need to do." And I think that's one of the things that could empower our teachers to know, oh, I can do whatever I need to do to get my kids to not only behave in my classroom, but understand consequence as they leave my classroom, you know?
Our teachers ain't here for the kids, though, man.
Oh,
They,
without a doubt. Without a doubt. I can
but
name 30 of them, you know what I'm talking about? But, you know, and as far as, you know, discipline itself, you know, I do think there are, you know, some places that the discipline has to be structured according to, sad to say, the zip code, man. Like, my partner teaches over at Long Middle School, and the stuff that I explained to him, I went through this school year. He didn't believe it. He thought it was a jail. You know, Shaw, who was at that same campus, you know, could probably have a few stories of his own. You know, but then another one of my partners, you know, who was over at Holmes, you know, hey, that's a different beast out there in the cliff, you know. So you definitely got to figure out, you know, what kind of discipline is appropriate. But I think something needs to be restored. Shaw, what you got?
Man, I'm completely different from you, Raymond. I don't think we should resort to the paddle. To be honest, I hear what you're saying, you know, we all grew up, you know, a certain thing, and you know, we came out all right. But at the same time, I feel like that traditional outlook, we can't apply that to today. I feel like traditionally, you know, we grew up, it takes a village to raise a child. Okay, cool. You have your students, you have your teachers, you have all these different people in place, you know, to make sure that that child is on track. In today's society, that's not there. And I think a good point with the zip code, man, we're in a time where the classrooms, a predominantly Hispanic, African American population has a white teacher. I don't think it's fair for them to be able to paddle a child. I feel like it's abuse of power. That's one point. I feel like it shouldn't happen. Number two, I feel like as a teacher, you know, from the grand scheme of things, it's more than I'm teaching and reading language arts. You know, there's a construct of, you know, you're teaching them how to be social beings, how to be civilized people in society, and X, Y, and Z. In the real world, if I do something wrong, my boss is not going to paddle me. So why is it that we feel the need to paddle these kids when we're preparing them for life? And then my third point is, what qualifies, as you said, what qualifies a coach or AP to paddle a student? Because I have my certification in leadership. I didn't learn anything about paddling, and I'm not a parent. So what will give me the right to paddle a student when I don't have the foundation, I don't have the accolades, I don't have the understanding of, you know, the child brain? So those are my three biggest points. I just don't agree with it. I feel like as an educator, we should be able to we're trained enough to be able to discipline our kids. It doesn't have to be a paddle.
Now, I disagree. I don't think we trained enough on that part at all. They train us on lesson planning and stuff, but the discipline, they don't give us the discipline training as much. That's something you kind of have to figure out on your own, how to get your kids to do what you need them to do. That part is no.
I feel like they teach it to you, but it's different in the classroom because they try to do these strategies, you know, the cool off, you know, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, as you know, it's different in the classroom. And I feel like they try, but that's my same point. So as a coach or AP, would that training qualify them to do that to a child? I just foresee it being an abuse of power and teachers using that as a way of just saying, you know, well, I'm about to give you a beating. And then to take a step further, parents, what if you have a parent who's not good in discipline, who's not good in parental skills? I feel like they're going to use that as a crutch to say, okay, well, I'm going to let Mr. Shaw beat my child. And so that's why I just feel like ideally for me, if we're going to implement something, it should be implemented all across. It shouldn't be, well, in this zip code, we're going to let the black teacher do it, but in that zip code, we're not going to do it. That and the fact that we have to make those constructs, I don't agree with it.
Well, it wouldn't be all kids just be getting whoopings all the time. That wouldn't be what it is. It would be under certain circumstances where this happens, and I think it's only for it will only be like a small percentage of kids who actually get it because most of the kids are not that big of discipline issue or discipline problems. At least at my school, that's not what it was. But you said what qualifies when you become a teacher, all right, when just from what I've been experienced, when I'm a teacher, I'm not only the teacher, all right, I'm buying the kids food, I'm making sure that they're mentally and emotionally. I'm more than a teacher. So if I'm caring about you, all right, then if I'm doing everything I'm doing like out of love, not trying to hurt you. That's why I said, then I feel like I can do it. That's why I said I don't feel like it should be every teacher. No, I don't. I don't feel like it should be every teacher because of the point that you made. I can't. I don't know. I don't know what's going through the teacher head, but I know if it's a coach and if they do play a sport, or if it's an AP, coaches and APs, because they in admin and because the coach is a coach, they on a higher level than teachers. I feel like they should be held at a higher level, a little bit higher, because they have more responsibility.
Well,
Yes.
hold on. One thing you said that stood out to me too was, um, we don't get paddled as adults, and in a sense, we do. If you late for your job or something like that, there is a consequence. It's not just a paddle. It's teaching a consequence for your actions. Because as an adult, we do get a physical consequence at times. Sometimes it shows up on that paycheck when you get docked or something. But it's it's not beating. If it's done correctly, I don't consider it as beating.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's very fair.
The thing about it is, I was once told it's something about heat and pressure and pain that helps the mind remember things. And so that's, what I'm saying? Like that has been proven true. Very true.
Right.
So I feel like if we can, apply a little bit of that pressure to some of these kids, because like you're right, Mr. McMillan, it's not all of the kids who are doing it. And then too, Shaw, you right in the sense as well. Like we should be able to devise something that's universal, so that there is a standard, so that there's no question. It's this is what you did, this is what it is. So that the kids can be fully informed of their actions and okay, well, this is what's going to happen if I do that. But at the same time, you need that pressure and heat applied so that they think twice. Let's look at this George Floyd thing, right? That we discussed on here a few weeks ago. One of the things that I think I said was, what if we looked at the laws different and we changed the laws to make cops um, go through a different sort of punishment for shooting an unarmed person, right? So at that point, they would think twice before they go to step on a man's neck. You understand what I'm saying? So if we could get something to get these kids to hesitate before making their wrong decision, that may give us time to not even need the paddle, but just say a few things to be like, hey, think about what you're about to do, you know? And I think that alone, discipline would save you time instead of having to write that referral, send them down to the admin office, let them wait in line to get that paddle. They done miss your I do part of your lesson, and now they got to come back, and now they need help in the small group. So I think it's a little bit of both that needs to be applied. One of my favorite principles that I had early on, she told me I should write a playbook, and she was like, in your playbook, all of these crazy ideas you get, you should put them in there. And you can submit this to be reviewed by admin and people, like Mr. Shaw, that have multiple degrees to put their theories and their own beliefs, up to par to see how it would hold up in theory, right? It's only in theory. And I've been kind of considering doing that because I would like to find a universal way. I would like to find a method that can help even the weaker teachers. Mr. McMillan, I've never seen your class, but Shaw, I've sat in your class on my lunch a few times, and so I've seen how things work in your room. And as far as mine goes as well, I've seen, things that work where I just pretty much play chess with my kids' mind. But there are those moments where you got to go get with a kid, they done had a bad day or bad night, somebody at lunch got dumped. And I think that's something that we need to have parents sit down and say, hey, this is what our school is moving to. This is what our district is moving to, so that we can get your kids to this level.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I mean, I completely agree. Especially the point you said there should be a consequence. Definitely, especially if we're developing these kids to be, future adults. That also develops the psyche. It's an immediate response. And so if you do something bad, it's going to be an immediate consequence. So I do feel like everything you said I agree. There should be something universal. I just don't see how realistic that would be, considering our student population as well as teachers. There is a set standard, but I mean, even that, if you have predominantly, it's predominantly. Even at different schools that are predominantly, they have a high population. You should have a teacher in place that they can relate to. You can't just have just a random teacher in there trying to implement discipline, because the students aren't going to respect it. And
what? That brings up something that I thought about. You know that what's that program that teachers use to get in and to get you to the classroom really quick?
TFA?
Yeah, Teach for America. I saw in that situation where a lot of times the person that they put in certain environments kind of had no business being in that environment. And no shots at TFA. It's a great program, I'm presuming. They produce great people. But I saw this episode on on YouTube, where they put this teacher. It was in Georgia. They put this teacher. She was about 5 feet tall. Little black lady, wore glasses, and I guess they figured she could relate to that zip code in Georgia. Man, them kids ate her up and spit her out, and I just was like, she might not have belonged in that environment anyway. Now, nothing against her teaching ability, because I didn't honestly see any teaching get to take place. It was all sit down, shut up, be still. So I never saw her get to the teaching. But that was the initial thought of, oh, this is finna be real bad, real fast. And it was. And so I often think about, like, that environment that we are in with our kids each day, is we try to make it optimal for the kids, but I think there needs to be something that makes it more optimal for the adult as well, so that we can get teachers to teach longer than that 3 or 4 year span. That's they say that's the year of burnout, 3, 4, and 5. And I told you, I ain't burnt out, but I got warm, so.
We all right there, too. We all right there.
Exactly. We all in that mix. All 3 of us are in that range. And so, I think that would help with the longevity of building great teachers,
Yeah, and the problem with it, how it is now for us, it used to be grades. Grades was that hit. Grades was that discipline for us. They was like, man, you gonna get a 0. And I couldn't come home with no 0. My mama wasn't having it. If you call my mama, I didn't even want you to call my mama. But now, I get to my wits end. I call mama, and then the next day, don't nothing change. Don't nothing change. And when I call mama and don't nothing change, daddy ain't always around. And I be like, hey, what do I do now? And I try to turn it back on the kids, but it's like they don't got no purpose. They don't got no purpose. They don't care about nothing. So I'm still trying to work out the discipline thing, because if you don't got nothing that's driving your life, even at a young age, if you don't got nothing you want to accomplish, then you just don't care. You don't care about school.
Yeah, they just wreak havoc at that point. They just free balling.
Yeah, for them, if the parents ain't making you do nothing, and the grades, if you don't got no purpose, the grades ain't gonna make you do nothing either. So it's like, what do I have at this point? So, man, that's where I'm at with it. I mean, I try anything at this point. So if we need to bring back the paddle, I just got to throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks at this point.
I agree, man. That's why I do agree when you not agree, but I see why you said coaches. Coaches always they have that ability, they have that leverage. But when you come across a student who is undisciplined in the classroom and at the home, what do you do?
At that point, your hands are kind of tied. We knew in class, if we acted a fool at 4 o'clock when everybody going home and we putting pads on, and you get through the running and all of that stuff. And at the end of practice, coach say, everybody up. If I call your name, don't leave. And your stomach fall through your butt because in Miss Smith class that morning, you was late and you was acting a fool, And I think that puts the power back in the teacher's hands that they need. I don't think it's unwarranted at all. I think they need that upper hand on their kids because, like both y'all said, when they get home, there is no parent holding them, accountable. There is no grade that you can say. You know how many 50s and zeros I threatened this year, and I got a few Kanye shrugs with. So I had to figure other ways out to do it. And I honestly, it made me a better teacher because it helped me add more things to my repertoire. No bluff. To be honest, I spent far too much time on discipline on some days than what I wanted to. Because you do have, just like us, we have a sick day, right? We call in from time to time. Whereas to our kids also have a sick day per se, even though they show up, because we all know the bad kids never miss school. The bad kids always got perfect attendance.
Always there.
Exactly. So, it's kind of to that point where it's like, all right, I know it sounds far-fetched, y'all, but I think with all of the degrees you have, all of the experience we have collectively, the parents that do care, I feel like we can do something really great at this time right now due to how COVID made us take a step back and rethink how we set up lessons and stuff like that, right? So I feel like this would be the best time for us to sit down and have these discussions because I can't tell you how many of my kids I haven't seen since spring break. That's when we got put out from COVID, but they didn't log in. Why? Because there is no accountability. There is no one to discipline them and say, hey, did you do your schoolwork today? So, like Mr. McMillan said, it's left on us to be teacher, counselor, executioner, parent, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I mean, I don't got nothing else to add, man. I think that touched on it. I mean, we just and now that I'm thinking about it again, for them kids that like I said, that don't got that no drive. I mean, if nothing working, I don't know if the paddle will even benefit that. For the kids who want to be there, it's just more leverage that we can use with them, and I think that's the best tool that can be used for leverage. You said
see, it don't even have to be a paddle. I just think physical.
Well, you can't electrocute them. Pavlov dog.
Right. And see, I remember one of my fifth grade teacher. She a principal now. My fifth grade teacher. She didn't have a paddle in her room, but what she would do is put you in that chair position up against the wall, and she'll sit dictionaries on your lap, and you'll change your mind real quick. Not one time did she ever hit any of us. But the fact that there was a physical punishment, it kept boys in line. Because like you said, you call a parent and next day it's back to the BS, right? It wasn't that in her classroom so much because she wasn't calling parents that much. Or I didn't think she did because she was handling it all right in front of us. If you wanted to laugh, just wait. Marquise was gonna get in trouble that day, or Freddie was gonna get in trouble that day, and it's a show going on. But it also kept the rest of us like, I don't want to get in trouble. You better shut up. David's finna hop on you, and it just it kept us in line, so that we could do more attention. But yeah, man, we almost actually out of here. He must have to take a restroom break. He gotta go potty. So what you got before we get out of here, man?
Man, nothing, man. I really did enjoy this conversation. And that last point, I agree. I feel like I do agree that this is the perfect time to, put things in place. And, moving forward, I do think that there should be, extensive training on discipline. Going into teaching, man, there's more to it. It's not that easy. I can't handle one student the same way I handle another student. We're over here stuck because we don't know how to, address a student who doesn't care. And I feel like there should be things in place to where we can rely on, and how your fifth grade teacher did it. I approve of that. I definitely, get some books, get on the back, and, I'm okay with that.
Not one time did she strike anybody. Like, she never put her hands on anybody, but you knew. Because she would either make you stand in the T-pose with your arms out, and by the time the school year was over, boys in there flexing because their arms been out, shoulders cut up and everything. You know, arms been out so long. But, you know, it was just a reminder that, hey, I'm going to come in here and do my job. And even you, you know, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, you have a job to do when you come in here as well. I think that was something Shaw said, you know, kind of early talking about jobs. That I think that'll put them in that mind frame of, if I'm late, there is a consequence. If I act up at work, there is a consequence. And yeah, true enough, we as adults, we don't get paddles, but there have been times in my life I would take a paddle over the consequence that came. If you mean to tell me I can get 2 licks and you're not going to deduct anything from my check, just give me the 2 licks, right? So I can get these 2 licks out the way, and I can go back to my desk and finish working in my little cubicle, you know.
See,
whereas
parents used to give you that option.
You say what?
Parents used to give you that option.
True, they did. You know, with my track team and with some of my kids, my parents have given me the green light because, I mean, I'm a parent, you know, so I look at it from both sides. As I would not want anyone beating on my child, and I'm gonna make sure that he don't come in the room acting a fool anyway. So if it does go to that where he need a paddle, hey, get him right, you know, and we'll deal with whatever else on the back end. But I think it's something physical needs to happen. Like I said, it doesn't have to be a paddle, but something physical has to happen, because a suspension, sending kids home for a 2-day vacation, what?
That ain't good.
So you mean to tell me I can cut up in my classroom as a teacher, and you just gonna send me home for a couple of days, and I can come right back and still have a job? Oh, let's do it.
Mr. Shaw, how is that preparing our kids for when they become adults? Because that's exactly what happens.
I don't know how to answer that, man. Because I don't like that. Because as a teacher, that's my work on me. Now I gotta catch you up. So I don't support that. That's why I believe, and that just goes more to say, I just feel like as a teacher, we should be able to handle discipline in our own classroom. Mm-hmm. You know, there should be steps into place, because I don't want to send you home because you go on for 2 days and then you come back and that's your leverage. Well, I don't know what's going on. So now I got to take time out of my day to catch you up, and that's taken away from the other ones.
And you know what too is crazy is the alternative schools are getting so full now that they're only able to stay in for like 3 weeks, and then they go right back to their campus. When I was in the same alternative program in Dallas, boys were going for a whole school year, a whole semester, you know, and since then, you know, so many kids end up going that they couldn't keep you that long anymore. And so I do think, Shaw, we got to figure something out, you know, where there is more training, realistic training with discipline, because until we address it and stop sweeping it under the rug, it's just going to keep snowballing. And you can train me all you want on lesson delivery and how to write a lesson plan, but if I cannot execute that because of, you know, Marquise and Freddie in class cutting up again, and what am I doing? You know, how can you come in and evaluate my ability for my TEI teacher report card if you can't even see me do that? You know,
let me tell you what they tell me. They says you got to build relationships with your kids.
Oh, I have rapport with my kids easy. That was something.
You haven't built the relationship well enough.
Well, what kind of time do we have? Well, look like we don't have much left. Another episode of We Just Might Get Fired. I'm your host, Mr. M. Mr. Shaw, I appreciate you hopping on with us today. Once again, yo to them dudes. Mr. McMillan, appreciate you as always. We will see y'all in the next one. Adios.